since I don't really know if anyone else is coming, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. And what I'm going to do is do a quick recap since it was a kind of a rough start. I kind of want to do a mini little PowerPoint to recap last week, minus going all over the documents in detail, which I'm assuming that we might do in part of the Q&A tonight. So let's see how fancy this is. Okay, so let's just go through this. Please just let me know if anything isn't working very well, and in terms of sound or technology and all of that, and we'll try to address it. Okay, so this is where we were, a professional note appraisal course. Welcome to training, how to perform note appraisals as part of your note business. I'm assuming, and this is something I didn't really find out last week, that most people taking this course already have some training in the note business. However, if you haven't yet formally studied it much, going over the appraisal documents will function quite well as a mini course on notes, and it'll be a great introduction for you. You can use your knowledge of the note business to make money in several ways, and we talked about this last week. You can broker notes, you can buy notes for your own portfolio as an investor. It helps you know how to buy real estate with owner financing, helps you know how to sell real estate with owner financing. It can position you as an owner financing consultant, and the thing that we're talking about right now is you can become a professional note appraisal provider. While I very much value the money I make as an owner financing consultant, and by doing several note appraisals a year, the main point of these services is to position myself as the ultimate note resource in the professional circles in my community. Trust me, there aren't a lot of people running around passing out note appraisal brochures, so offering this unique service is a great way to get your foot in the door and help you stand out and establish yourself as the expert. So I'm just wanting to say, the point isn't just to do these services, it's to position yourself in a certain way so that you have more opportunities where you actually really make the real money. Number two, create a pipeline of good paper and instant rapport with note sellers. If an attorney recommends me to their client, that warm introduction almost guarantees that I will not have competition in brokering that note. Chances are I'll be the only professional quoting that note, and of course I always take the smallest possible fee when brokering notes referred by my professional sources. That's because I don't want that attorney who's a referral source to ever say, hey, I have someone, you're dinging my clients too much, I'm going to take the business elsewhere. Okay, so I give them the best possible deal that I can, smallest possible fee, because I want the referral business. And just as a side note, when you're doing the note business in the traditional note business fashion, a lot of times you're fighting against 2, 3, 5 other people quoting that paper. And so I really love it when there's a warm referral from a trusted advisor to the client, because then I know that I don't have to fight so hard, and I'm usually not competing with anyone else. One of the challenges in today's market, and Richard, I think it was you that was commiserating with me on this last week, is that there are a lot of notes out there. Lots of investors are offering owner financing, but most of those notes aren't worth the paper they're printed on. Finding a good marketable note to work on is a challenge, and once you do find them, getting the note seller to accept a reasonable price, the one the market will bear, can be tricky, because we have unreasonable sellers with properties and unreasonable sellers with paper. Of course, their note or their property is always worth more. It doesn't matter what else is going on in the market. When you're an owner financing consultant, you're actively involved in helping to create good paper that you can eventually buy, hopefully. When you cultivate professional resources through offering appraisals, among other things, you get note sellers who are much more likely to accept the price you're offering them because they were referred to you by somebody they already know and trust. Earlier this week, I got a fantastic quote to someone who had a note with 7 years of seasoning, and it was a much better price than I even expected to get. And she still said no. Bummer. Okay, let's see. As you're developing your note business, you can go about it in a couple of ways. And we're just recapping what we did at the end of last week. B2C, business to consumer, and B2B, business to business. B2C, business to consumer, this is when you market directly to note holders. You send postcards and letters to note holder leads. You either purchase from list companies or title companies, or you research yourself at the courthouse, everybody who carried back paper who wasn't a bank, seller financing. Or you get internet leads developed through blogging, social media, participating in online forums, etc. And that's a great model. Now, B2B, business to business, this is when you market directly to other professionals to create lifelong referral sources. So we do this with professional note appraisals. You do it as, sorry about that noise. I think someone's trying to butt in. Okay, owner financing consultant. You do it by direct marketing to attorneys, realtors, accountants, financial planners, etc. You go to networking events, you write articles, and give live presentations. Okay, B2C, business to consumer. Here's the advantages. It's a direct note, a route to the notes, and can produce immediate and consistent results if you mail to note holders regularly. Now, I got to tell you, it can take. You have to have some money to put behind a consistent direct mail campaign. I can't tell you how many. I'm holding one note in California on a property I sold 2 years ago, and I know who's mailing to me. There's one company, an institutional buyer, that's mailing every quarter, every 3 months, they mail me. And then there's 5 to 10 people a year. I get one postcard from them. They either look professional or they look really unprofessional, and I never hear from them again. It usually takes a commitment to mail regularly so people get to know you. I do know of people who just sort of do maybe 1 or 2 mailings a year, but like they'll do 20,000 at a time. And if they do it in a state like Texas, where there's a lot of owner financing and a lot of awareness about that and a lot of people holding notes, they might get, I don't know, 10 to 20 notes that they might be working on and hopefully closing at least half those. That might be aggressive, I don't know. The other advantage is if you blog or create online videos so people feel like they know you, you can create loyalty and trust before you ever speak with a note holder. And that's a real advantage. The disadvantages that I already alluded to is over here, it can be expensive to maintain a successful direct mail campaign. And you have to be successful. Persistent in your campaign. Most note holders only have one note to sell, and they usually don't have friends or family members with notes to sell that they can refer you to. So consumers are not usually a source of repeat business. Like when you're a real estate professional, of course, your family and friends, you know everybody who is either going to buy or sell a piece of property sometime in their life. So a real estate agent developing B2C kind of connections can do really well, because there's a lot of people that your client can refer to with notes. They probably don't know, unless they're investors, they don't know anyone else who's carrying paper. And so they're never going to be able to refer you. So B2B business is business to business. The advantages is that it doesn't cost a lot of money to build professional referral sources. There are usually minimal fees to network at business events, write articles, give presentations, etc. And you have referral partners that can potentially send you an effortless stream of notes over the course of your note business career. The disadvantage is that it takes a lot of time and confidence to network with attorneys and write articles and give presentations. And it can take a while before these sources start sending you note seller leads. Once in a while, someone will go, "Oh my God, someone was just in my office this week, and I'm going to hook you up with them." Other times, it could take a year before I get some sort of signal of life out of a connection that I've cultivated over several months. A disadvantage, although I think this is an advantage, is you really have to know the business inside and out so that you sound intelligent and knowledgeable, and you naturally inspire confidence. So if you want the lazy way and you don't really want to learn the business very well, then direct mail is easy, because once you get the lead, you can kind of try to get help, to put it together. But if you're going to position yourself as an expert, you actually have to be able to articulate the business reasonably well. But you can do this quickly. It doesn't take a lot of time. Some people in the business only focus on B to C, others only on B to B, but I suggest using a combination of the two types of strategies. Personally, I focus most on business to business, realtors, attorneys, etc., but my internet presence frequently provides direct leads to note sellers who already feel like they know and trust me. While some of you might find the prospect of networking with, writing articles for, and speaking in front of attorneys, accountants, and other smart people, what you need to remember is that as a note broker, you have a valuable perspective and a skill set that these professionals will never master. And it kind of seems odd, but it's true. They'll never know what you know unless they regularly buy and sell notes. Several years ago, when I gave my first presentation to a group of 50 attorneys, accountants, and financial planners at the annual Probate Referee Conference in San Diego, I had only worked on a handful of notes. I'd studied a heck of a lot, but I'd really only worked on a handful of notes. Sure, I was nervous, but I knew the basics of what makes notes either valuable or worthless, and that's what I shared with them, and it was well received and generated business. An opportunity to speak presented itself, and although I wasn't entirely sure I was ready, just like you might not be entirely sure you're ready to go for it, I just went for it. I showed up and I did my best. I spoke out of my passion for the business, and that's partly why if you don't love the note business, just drop it. Unless you just want it for your own investing experience for real estate and notes. You gotta love it, and because it takes a lot of stick-to-itiveness. The biggest obstacle for many of us is actually believing that we're capable, that we know enough, that we've had enough experience, that we're smart enough, and that we deserve respect and success. Maybe some of you are already super confident, but it was a road for me. Of course, you need to make every effort to know your craft inside and out. You need to keep learning more, becoming more, improving every aspect of your business so you have more to offer. You need to approach the note business with professionalism and competence when you want to cultivate attorneys and CPAs as referral partners. But don't let yourself get trapped in perpetual preparation. I know it happens because for many years I was a master at it. I was always getting ready to almost begin to get started. It took a long time for me to really have the confidence and know that I could hold my own with my professional peers. I had a nagging subconscious sense of inadequacy that plagued me for years. So, let's address your need to keep learning and improving your craft by understanding how to provide professional note appraisal. Okay, now this is where I just will normally flip in this part of the section to just the documents that we went over before.